Have you ever wondered why some plants thrive in the bright sunlight while others seem to flourish in the cool, dappled shade? It's a question that puzzles many, but the answer lies in the delicate balance of sunlight and shade, an essential dance that's deeply rooted in the world of plants. Sunlight and shade aren't just elements of nature, they're vital partners in the life cycle of every plant. They play a pivotal role in photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert light into energy. And just like us, different plants have different preferences and needs when it comes to light and shade. Some bask in the full glory of the sun, while others prefer the cool, gentle caress of shade. Take, for instance, the rose, a quintessential sun lover. It basks in the full glory of sunlight, absorbing its nourishing rays to bloom with unrivaled vibrancy. On the other hand, ferns, with their delicate fronds and subtle beauty, thrive in the dance of dappled shade. But how does this work? Well, the secret lies in photosynthesis. In full sun plants like roses, sunlight is harnessed at its maximum, driving a high rate of photosynthesis. The result? Blooms that are radiant and full of life. Shade plants like ferns, however, have adapted to lower light conditions. They conduct photosynthesis at a slower pace, allowing them to flourish in cooler, less sun-drenched environments. Understanding this dance of sunlight and shade is essential in determining where to place your plants. It's about knowing their individual light preferences and providing the right balance to help them thrive. It's about understanding that just like us, plants too have their comfort zones. So, whether you're planning a sun-drenched terrace filled with vibrantly blooming roses or a serene shade garden humming with the subtle beauty of ferns, understanding their needs for light and shade is the first step. Understanding the dance of sunlight and shade is the first key to unlocking the potential of your garden. It's a dance that's as old as life itself, and one that holds the secret to a thriving, vibrant garden. So let's delve deeper into this dance and discover how you can create your own garden masterpiece. To fully grasp the role of sunlight and shade, we need to delve a little into the science of photosynthesis. This process, as you might recall from your biology classes, is the way in which plants convert sunlight into energy. But don't worry, we're not going to get too technical here. Imagine for a moment that each leaf on a plant is a tiny solar panel. When sunlight hits these panels, a chemical reaction occurs. This reaction, known as photosynthesis, transforms sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the ground into glucose, a type of sugar that plants use as food. Oxygen, a byproduct of this process, is released back into the air, and that's the very oxygen we breathe. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Not all plants need the same amount of sunlight to thrive. In fact, different plants have evolved to adapt to varying levels of light. This is where understanding the dance of sunlight and shade in your garden comes into play. Think about sunflowers. These plants are sun worshippers. They need full sun, which is about 6 hours or more of direct sunlight a day, to grow tall and produce those vibrant yellow blooms we all love. On the other hand, we have plants like ferns and hostas, which prefer the cool, dappled light of the shade. These shade-loving plants have developed broad leaves to capture as much sunlight as possible, even in low-light conditions. And then there are the adaptable ones, the plants that can thrive in a range of light conditions, from full sun to partial shade. These plants, like many species of hydrangeas and roses, have a certain versatility that makes them a great choice for areas in your garden where the sunlight varies throughout the day. So you see, understanding the science of photosynthesis and how different plants have adapted to sunlight and shade is crucial to successful plant placement. Armed with this knowledge, you can make informed decisions about where to place your plants. Now, let's take a journey around the world and see how nature has mastered the art of using sunlight and shade. Imagine for a moment the serene beauty of a Japanese shade garden. Each plant is carefully chosen and placed to ensure it thrives in the soft, dappled light. The delicate ferns, the mosses, the azaleas, all flourishing in the subtle dance of shade. The garden is a testament to the art of shade gardening, demonstrating how even in the least sunlit corners, life thrives. Now let's journey to the sun-drenched terraces of the Mediterranean. These gardens are a riot of color, teeming with sun-loving plants like lavender, rosemary, and olive trees. They stand tall, basking in the bright sunlight, their leaves shimmering in the heat. These gardens show us the power of the sun, teaching us that even the harshest sunlight can create an environment for vibrant life. Next, picture the lush rainforests of Costa Rica, where light and shade play an intricate game. The towering trees create a canopy, their leaves capturing the sunlight, while below a myriad of plants flourish in the filtered light. This is nature's way of layering, a lesson in how different levels of sunlight can support a diverse range of plant life. And finally, consider the wild meadows of the English countryside. Here, the sunlight dances through the clouds, creating a patchwork of light and shade. Poppies, daisies, and buttercups paint a picture of harmony as they sway in the wind, each taking their turn in the sun. From the tranquil shade gardens of Japan to the sunlit terraces of the Mediterranean, from the layered rainforests of Costa Rica to the dancing meadows of England, each of these gardens tells a unique story. They show us how the dance of sunlight and shade can create stunning landscapes, each plant perfectly placed to thrive. These gardens serve as beautiful examples of what you can achieve with a little understanding of light and shade. But don't just take our word for it. Let's hear from some gardening experts and enthusiasts. Each garden tells a story, and behind every story, there's a gardener with a wealth of knowledge and experience. These are the people who have their hands in the soil, who feel the warmth of the sun and the cool of the shade. They're the ones who know the joy of seeing a seed sprout, a bud bloom, and a garden come to life. Take Amelia, for instance, a horticulturist. With over 20 years of experience, she shares, understanding light and shade is like learning a plant's language. You start to see patterns, understand preferences. You realize that sunlight and shade aren't just conditions, they are tools to shape your garden, to create a living, breathing artwork. Then there's Ben, a self-proclaimed plant enthusiast who turned his urban balcony into a lush green oasis. I used to think I didn't have enough sunlight for a garden, he confesses. But then I discovered shade-loving plants. Now, I have a balcony full of ferns and hostas, and it's my favorite place to relax. We also hear from Claire, a landscape architect who designs gardens for a living. She advises, think of your garden as a canvas. The light and shade are your paints. Use them to create contrast, to highlight certain plants, to create a sense of depth. It's all about balance and harmony. And from Dave, a botanist who has studied plants from all over the world, he reminds us, every plant is unique. Some love the sun, some thrive in the shade. Learn what each plant needs. It's the key to a healthy, vibrant garden. These voices, from different walks of life, all echo the same sentiment. Understanding sunlight and shade is a game changer. It's about understanding the needs of your plants, the nuances of your space, and using that knowledge to create a garden that's not just beautiful, but thriving. As you can see, understanding sunlight and shade can truly transform your garden. Now that you're armed with knowledge, it's time to create your own masterpiece. With every sunrise, a new day dawns, and with it, the opportunity to breathe life into your own garden. It's not merely the act of planting seeds and watching them grow, but the art of knowing where and when to plant, understanding the dance of sunlight and shade, and harnessing their power to nurture your garden. Visualize your garden as a canvas, a blank space just waiting to be filled with color and life. Each plant, each flower, each tree is a brushstroke, contributing to the overall masterpiece. The magic lies in knowing which brushstroke goes where. Remember, sunlight is a plant's best friend, but too much of it can turn into a foe. Likewise, shade provides respite, but an overdose can stunt growth. It's all about striking a balance. Consider the sun-loving roses, the shade-tolerant ferns, and all the myriad plants in between. Each has its own preference for sunlight and shade. Knowing these preferences and placing your plants accordingly is the key to a thriving garden. Don't be afraid to experiment and mix things up. Variety, after all, is the spice of life. Play with different plant combinations, textures, and colors. Find what works best for your space and for you. And while you're at it, remember to enjoy the journey. Gardening is not just about the end result, but the process itself. The joy of planting, the anticipation of growth, the satisfaction of seeing your garden flourish. These are experiences to be savored. As you embark on this journey, you'll find that it's not just your garden that grows, but you. You'll learn patience, perseverance, and the pure joy of nurturing life. You'll discover the magic in every sunrise, the tranquility in every shade, and the beauty in every bloom. Your garden is a canvas, and with the power of sunlight and shade, you can create your very own masterpiece. So go ahead and let your garden bloom in its full glory.